Hello, everybody, and welcome to Vibing Out with Texony. I'm your host, Texony, aka Mr. WorldVibe, and what we have here is a community to give local voices a public platform of shared ideas, knowledge, and perspectives. So, what's going on? Thank you for being back. Thank you for coming back to this podcast. Thank you for watching this episode and listening. You know that you can get this episode first on Patreon. That's where the episode is dropping first on video, or you can listen in anytime on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So thanks for being here. Let's get started because Psych Saturdays, we have to review. We have to recap the best of Psych Saturdays. This was a fan favorite. People loved hearing information that's, perspectives that are related to them. As anything psychological is, it's related to yourself. It's very useful information. And so in season 2, I got a good chance to really portray and explain some really important psychological information. And it's one of my loves, honestly, is psychology. I'm so glad I took it at York, and I'm glad I get to continue to share knowledge and information related to that, because like I said, it's endless information. Psychology is so important, but for me to be able to share it with you is that means everything to me, to share this information, and then hopefully you can watch related to yourself and your own life. So this episode will be a compilation of kind of the best parts of all of our Psych Saturdays in season 2. And I think I had 6 different episodes of Psych Saturdays. They were all very different, I would say, for the most part. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you for being here, especially if you're a patron. These people really support me fully by joining the Patreon. It's so simple, y'all. Just go to the link in my description. It's literally as cheap as $2 to join, and you're helping grow this community. Like I said in the previous episode, we're gonna move to a studio in season 3. We're gonna have a bigger investment into this podcast, but I need more patrons. So please consider joining. If you want to see this community grow, you'll join. It takes literally nothing from you, but it means everything to me. So yes, I appreciate that. If you're watching and listening for free, that's cool too. I appreciate you for being here, but show love to those who show love to you. I'm here making this episode for y'all. Least you could do is, give this video a like, maybe comment, maybe subscribe to the YouTube, or share this episode with someone you think would enjoy, because a lot of people enjoy psychology, even though they don't really go to school for it. It's still useful information. So let me talk about some of these episodes. We'll go through a little recap of the best parts, like I said, and yeah, hope you enjoy this episode today. So the first episode we're going to talk about in this recap episode, is the power of community. That was episode 59, and that dropped all the way December 12th, 2020. This was right when we went into that big lockdown, if you're in Ontario, that big lockdown where it felt so long, it was so intense. It was like I want to say the second big lockdown, but in any case, we were more isolated from each other. We were going back into isolation. So I wanted to make this episode to kind of talk about the power of community. Even though we can't be outside seeing everybody, just feeling like we know how to increase that sense of community will keep our mental, our emotional health up. So this episode meant a lot to me to make, and I'm glad a lot of people benefited off it. So enjoy this clip, and I'll see you in the next clip, all right? So you could have social connections, right? But if they're not fulfilling your support needs, then you'll still feel lonely. Which demographic group do you think experiences the highest levels of feeling lonely? Do you think it's between 16 and 24, 25 and 35, or 36 and up? Which one do you think? Yeah, it's the first one, 16 to 24. So people that are younger typically feel more lonely. And it's just so funny because when we're younger, we feel like being social more, right? We go out in the real world, meet people all the time, whether it's school, whether it's clubs, whether it's events, whether it's dating. And so we're out more than ever, right? Whether it's in person or whether it's online, we reach out to people at a young age. We do that. So it's just kind of like a contradiction that, this age group would feel the most feelings of loneliness, right? It's like, what's going on there, right? So it turns out people with strong social relationships have a 50% increase of likelihood of survival. And loneliness is as dangerous and for your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, or being obese, or not exercising. And, when we look at loneliness, it can come from a multitude of factors. It could come from biological, right? You could have gene expressions in your body that are influenced by, for example, drugs that you take. Any drug you put into your system can influence your hormonal levels, therefore making you more susceptible to feeling depressive symptoms, right? It could come from psychological causes, right? Just how you think about yourself, how you view yourself compared to the world. Or it could come from environmental causes, like just the culture, right? I think social media is a cultural thing, and so I think that's a cause of a lot of loneliness too. So I wouldn't be doing this topic justice if I didn't talk to you guys about solutions, right? We know the challenge at hand, which is increasing our feelings of community, increasing our social support systems, decreasing our levels of loneliness. We know that that's what we have to do, but how do we do that? Right? Like I said, we're online more than ever. So the answer is not simply just, go out in person and meet people. Stop being on your phone. It's not helping you connect. Like, no, we can't make it that simple. We have to live within the means of our lives right now, which is, we're at home, right? More than ever. If we have a job, if we go out anywhere, our social interactions are limited. And so we do have to find ways of interacting and feeling a sense of community in person and also online. We have to look at both. So let's do that. Let's look at ways of increasing our feelings of belonging to a community through online and through in-person solutions and tactics. So the first one I have here is support or promote a local business or service, right? When you're supporting people, they'll reach out to you and they'll thank you, and you'll feel more invested in what they're doing. If you support somebody, you are more likely to buy from them, to use their service or products, because you're looking out for them, and you'll feel that love back from them. And so you have this relationship now where they can count on you, or they can appreciate what you did for them. Just simply supporting people. You could buy from a business, right? Holidays are here, so shop local, of course, you could do that. That would make you feel more part of this community who buys from this place. You could donate, which is tough for some people to donate at this time of the year. You could volunteer anywhere that's looking. So you can use, services like that. You can offer your services or offer money in that sense. Or if you're online, you can just share a post, promote a small business. Anyone that's impacted by the pandemic, you could just put people on to their service, to their product. It goes a long way. Trust me, as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, I can tell you it goes a long way. Even if, you're listening to this episode or watching this episode and you leave a comment, or you like the video, or you share this episode with somebody else, that goes a long way. So I can ask for that because I know what that means to me. And so it would mean the same thing if you supported someone else's small business. We're back. And the next episode, this one was a fan favorite, I think, in Psych Saturdays. It was toxic positivity, which is a term that is so sexy when you hear toxic positivity. Ooh, like, what is that? Positive, toxic, like, what do they combine to mean? It's a term that gets thrown out there, but I wanted to go into it and really to explain like what it means, how we see it, because it's a psychological phenomenon and it's not really a good thing, right? Toxic anything is not really a good thing. So I wanted to break it down for y'all so you know how it shows up in your life, because undoubtedly it shows up in your life. It shows up in mine too. I'm a very positive person, but I don't want to be someone that's toxic positive and doesn't know how to go into the negative. So when I learned about it, I was able to research about it and even make that little skit that a lot of people enjoyed on Instagram, TikTok and stuff. So I'll show you that. I'll show you a little clip about it. And yeah, enjoy. See you in the next one. Yo! What's going on, dude?
What's up? Nothing, just not having the best day.
Nah, get out of here, man. You're fine. What's wrong?
Oh, I'm just feeling off today, man. I can't shake it.
Bro, honestly, just be happy. You're good. Look at me. Bro, you're good.
Bro, I legit don't feel good today. Is that okay?
You know what? Nah, I can't be around this, man. I will not tolerate anything less than 100% positivity. Therefore, I am leaving.
Good day, sir. But you needed...
I said good day.
All right, I'm going back to bed.
The point of that was to, again, show an example that toxic positivity is so easy to do when we're supporting other people, when we're trying to support other people. But oftentimes we need to just listen to people, support them, and just say, I'm here to listen to you. We have to validate their feelings instead of being like, nah, don't feel that way. It's fine. Just move on from that. No, you can't really move on from every feeling. So I guess what I'm saying is, and I've looked up a lot of research on this because I don't have enough experience to talk about it just off the top. I like to do research on these Psych Saturdays. I've listened to a few psychologists and therapists talk about this issue, and I agree with this way of thinking. It has to be a balance. You can't just say to somebody all the time, just be happy, focus on the positives, just keep telling yourself it'll be better. That's not going to work every time. Sometimes you have to go the other direction and say, I understand. It's okay to feel upset. Just talk to me. I'm here to listen. What's going on? Like, you have to go into the negativity and lean into it sometimes. But on the other hand, doing that all the time is not really effective. If someone's having a bad day, there's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, I've seen you had bad days before in your past. I've seen you go through these things, and I've seen you come past them and go through them and come out the other side. So I hope that you can do that. I'm here to support you. So you're able to sometimes be like, you know what, you can try to be positive. Sometimes it's okay to try to lean on the positive side. The whole thing with being toxic positive is constantly leaning towards that way, or just defaulting to go that way without considering maybe some instances you need to lean into the negative. So being able to balance out which way to go with the positive and the negative is going to help you in your personal situations and make you more compassionate, supporting to other people in their situations when they come to you for support and just to feel better in a situation. Okay, moving on. Episode 72 was a takeaways from my intimate relationships course that I did at York University. And I really love this takeaways from mini series in my Psych Saturdays because I took so many courses at York, obviously psychology related, and there's still so many courses I have yet to break down for y'all. I just kind of go over my highlights, especially the courses I got like good grades in. I want to share kind of the findings and like basically summarize a course that I paid thousands of dollars for. I'm giving you guys all the information for free. So this course, Intimate Relationships, is something everybody can, relate to. If you've been in a relationship, if you are in a relationship, if you're looking for a relationship, this episode had a bunch of very, very, very important points. And this one dropped, I think, in March 6th. So go back, check it out. But first, enjoy this clip, this mini clip of the episode. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.
And how do we keep sexual satisfaction, keep intimacy over time in a relationship? Because, we think about long-term relationships, marriages, and a lot of us will think and will see that satisfaction declines over time, right? That's kind of true. That's what the research shows, but there are ways to prevent that. Number one is novelty, doing new things. That's the self-expansion theory we talked about earlier. So let's say if you go on a date with your partner, you guys go to the movies every Friday, or you go out to eat every Thursday. What you want to do is do things you both haven't done. If you guys have never done a paint night before, go to a paint night. If you've both never been, hiking, go hiking together. So doing new things creates a bond because you're both expanding on who you are together. So self-expansion, doing new things, novelty is a great way. Introducing new things into a relationship is always a great way to keep and maintain the intimacy. And responsiveness, right? Emotionally, responsiveness to sexual needs, being responsive, actually listening, understanding, and being able to, communicate effectively. Obviously, that's going to be a huge part because relationships are bound for conflict. That's the last part we're going to go to is conflict, right? It's a part of relationships. It's undeniable. So how do we learn about conflict so we can move through it effectively? I think one of the most interesting parts is, what do couples fight about the most? There were studies that looked into this. and I asked it on the Instagram quiz. So this might not be that surprising, but the topics of children, household tasks, and communication are the three highest rated areas of conflict in relationships. And that kind of makes sense because when you live with a person or when you have kids with somebody or both combined, you're going to have disagreements. You're going to have things to work on, challenges to work on. So yeah, those are the biggest things. And then communication as well. So you don't have to be living together or having kids to know that communication saves relations. I think Drake said that. And so these are the most important things. When you think about time spent at work, money, habits, friends, personality, those things were all lower compared to the top three things: children, household tasks, and communication. So if you're just getting together with somebody and you think about what are the possible conflicts, at the height of just getting together with somebody, communication will always be the most important thing. Before you move in together, before you have kids together, communicate effectively, find ways to do that. And let's go deeper into this conflict, because how we communicate our conflicts, our disagreements, will be the ways to work through these inevitable conflicts effectively, right?
Okay, y'all. Choice Overload, episode 77. This one dropped April 10th, 2021. So again, this is a term. It's just like toxic positivity, choice overload. It's a term that we hear, but we don't really know what it means until we go into it more, until we've done the research, or until we know how it affects our life in particular. So what I did in this episode, same thing as all my other Psych Saturdays. I researched it, found some studies, some findings, put it all together, packaged it up, and presented it to y'all. Lecture kind of style. Not that serious, but I did present it to y'all with some facts, broke it down with the definition, and then I showed you how it plays out in your life. In my life particularly, yes, I've seen choice overload. We all have. We've all experienced. These are common psychological phenomena. So again, you're going to hear about it in this episode. If you haven't watched or listened to it already, you're going to hear about it. You're going to know how it affects your life. I hope you can make those connections. So yeah, enjoy this clip. This is Choice Overload, and I'll see you in the next episode recap. And so I think, we have to look at our lifestyle. We have to look at the things we do day to day and figure out how to cut down on choice overload. So now that we know all the areas that we see it, let's think about some ways to tackle choice overload, because we're here to put our ideas into action, find solutions with this negative experience that we all face, right? So let's look at the first thing, retail. That was where we started. How do companies overcome choice overload? I mean, obviously they're smart, they're tactical. How do they work their way around this? So where do we start? We started with grocery stores. They have areas of the store where they have specific things for you to buy. They have all the areas on the outside of the aisles. They have very limited choices that they want you to go for. The things that are marked up, the things they want you to buy. Same thing when you go to restaurants. Even though there's so many choices on the menu, they have their 8 combos, the go-to combos. Again, these are marked up products and meals, but they're easier to choose from because they're organized in a certain way where you're choosing from a smaller amount in a bigger amount. So what you can do is you can categorize your list of options into less options, as long as they're categorized properly. And I find that if you ever go to a really nice restaurant, who remembers when we used to go to restaurants, right? When you go to a nice restaurant, they often have not a lot of things to choose from. They have less things on the menu, and you're more satisfied with what you chose because there were less things to choose from. So I see this choice overload working in real life, and it's just true. So if you're selling products, don't sell too many at once. Make sure you categorize them, highlight your top offers, so you can also compare products. You can also have features on your websites and stuff that help people compare products one by one, instead of having to compare everything with each other and getting this analysis paralysis. You can have a button or an action to only compare 2 items. That's again what people do. It's another strategy. So let's shift from retail, selling products, to entertainment, social. And the first thing I talked about was dating apps, right? How do we reduce the choice overload there? The simplest thing to do is to not go on these dating apps. Don't use them as much. Don't rely on them as much. I know it's easier said than done. All right, but that's the most blunt way I can put it, is don't use them as much, because all those choices, you're going to be less satisfied with the people that you choose. You're going to be comparing all these people to each other, and it's just not going to create the best situation. I mean, think about these apps. You know as good as I do, apps, companies, they want to keep you coming back to that app. So even though they want you to find a partner, realistically, they want you to have a good experience on the app. And if you come back to the app, that's only going to benefit them, right? So the best idea is to reduce your time on the social media apps, on the dating apps. And yeah, in social media, same thing. Reduce your time on social media. If you're on Netflix trying to choose a movie, before you choose a movie, think about a genre you already want to watch. Like, you know what I mean? Make these decisions before you go there. And lastly, let's figure out how to reduce choice overload, paradox of choice with our lifestyle. That's something I'm proud to say I'm pretty good at. Because I spend 12 hours a day working on my podcast, I have to be very productive with what I do. So I've learned a lot about reducing choice overload, and I'm excited to kind of share these ideas with you here. So you wake up in the morning, you don't know what to do, you can do anything. So make a to-do list, make a schedule. If you have 10 things to do all day, then you won't be bored, because you'll have something to do all the time. So you won't be overloaded with all these different things you can do. It's that simple. Make a schedule, a to-do list. When you wake up, you don't have to pick out your clothes if you know what you're going to wear from the night before. Or if you wear the same thing every day. I know Steve Jobs used to do that. A few friends of mine talked about that before, and I often wear the same things every day. I'm not really going places, so I have like a common outfit that I go to, common few outfits, things like this. When it comes to making food, when I open the fridge, I already know what I'm eating because I eat the same things all the time. I don't have to think and spend all this mental energy choosing because I know what I'm going to eat. I plan out my food. I use the MyFitnessPal app and track my calories. So I have a diet plan already working. I already have the game plan of what I need to eat, what I want to wear, what I want to do. I don't have to make as many choices. So I'm not overloaded with these choices. So find ways in your life to prepare, plan, think ahead so that you don't become overwhelmed when it comes to making choices. Because like I said, we make choices all day. The less we have to make, the better. That's how we're going to reduce the negative feeling of choice overload. All right, y'all, we are rolling through. We're just flying through these episodes like they meant nothing, like they were so easy to make. No, they took a lot of time, especially these Psych Saturdays. They take so much research, and I can't just freestyle and talk in front of this camera. Like, I really have to do my research, present findings. And with mental health myths, this next episode, which was episode 81, dropped May 8th. This was in honor of like the Mental Health Awareness Month, which is May. And I wanted to present some myths and break them down if it's fact or fiction. I broke down 3 mental health myths. So in this clip, you're going to hear the myth that when I talk about people saying, mental health problems are all in the mind. It's all in the mind, bro. So I talk about how anxiety, one of the most commonly experienced mental, I wouldn't say health illness, but it's just a, mental health condition we all experience from time to time. Me, myself, yes, I've had anxiety. It's pretty easy to experience in any situation. So I talk about how that, for instance, it's not all in the mind. It comes from, well, I don't want to give it away. Just watch the clip, enjoy. And if you want to see the other myths, get the full episode. You already know how to get it. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. It's all there. You already know this. So enjoy that clip, and I'll see you in the last episode recap. Let's move on to myth 2. And it's the fact or the notion, the thought that mental health is all in our minds. Right? It's just up here. Your mental health is just here. Anything that happens to you is because of your brain. That's another myth. Yes, it is. There's a wide range of reasons why we have mental health problems, right? It's not just our genetic, our biological, or our personality traits. It's not just those things. It's also our circumstances with society and our roles in the places that we live, in the places that we function. So it's what I'm saying is it's environmental factors. That's the word I was looking for. Environmental factors. So the outside world externally creates and has a role with our mental health, right? So the way our body, our whole self interacts with the world. It's not just our mind. So it could be one of two ways. So either the world around you can affect your mental health, or your mental health can affect your body and the world outside. So it's a reverse relationship, right? Think about it like this. If you have a negative mental health condition, right? For example, what does anxiety and depression look like in the body, right? Anxiety and depression is not just worrying and fear, or depression is not just sad. It's a feeling of sadness and these kinds of things. It also shows in our physical body. So if we have it in here, it'll show, right? It shows by, and this is according to healthline.com, 2 articles about what anxiety and depression look like in our body: agitation, restlessness, fatigue, irritability, tense muscles, and even changes in appetite and weight loss come with the inner mental health condition of anxiety and depression, right? So it can affect our body. And in the opposite sense, things that we do, if we eat poorly, if we choose to not sleep properly, if we choose to do substances and drugs and have addictions, this can go into our mind, this can affect our mental health, and then, cause these mental health conditions. So it's things that we choose to do to our body, the way the world affects our body, and the other way around, that we can have mental health conditions, right? So what I'm saying is, it's not just the mind, it's our body, it's the world, it's the environmental factors that can influence our mental health. So I hope that made sense. Hope that kind of broke that myth down for y'all. Okay, episode 84. So only 3 episodes later, we did our last Psych Saturdays. I was kind of slipping with the Psych Saturdays, so I wanted to make sure I got 6 in season 2. So this one was called Driving, a Mindful or Mindless Behavior. And if you know me, you know I love driving. You know I love mindful driving. I do love driving. It's such a passion of mine. So it was such an honor to talk about it. And yeah, you're going to hear my theory on mindful versus mindless behavior. Like, what makes a good driver? What makes a driver mindful? And what makes a driver competent, right? So I take some studies, and there's some pretty emerging studies in this field of mindful driving. So you're going to hear me break those down. And if you're a driver, which I would say majority of you guys are, this episode will definitely benefit you and your driving just by hearing about these studies and hearing my theory about what makes a good driver. So yeah, this one came out June 2021, I can see. Episode 84. Enjoy the clip. Watch it if you enjoy this little clip here. So yeah, I'll see you at the end of this episode. Now that was 25%, right? We have 25% from the theory and the knowledge, 25% from emotional regulation. We kind of just broke down some emotions. Now I think 50%, so 1/2 of your entire driving capabilities comes from this last section, which is attention regulation capabilities. You probably can understand what that means by just me saying that, but let me break it down. The ability to keep one's attention and prioritize their focus on the road. How many people, one of my favorite comedians back then, Louis C.K., he has this joke where he says, you look around on the road, literally 100% of people are texting and driving. Literally 100% of people. And it's actually almost true. Like, if you stop at a red light, look to the right of you, they're on their phone. Look to the left of you, they're distracted too. Maybe this person's doing their makeup or looking at themselves in the mirror or talking to somebody in the back seat. Yes, a lot of us are distracted when we're driving. And so back to that study 1, they call it the dissociative driving style, which reflects the tendency to be distracted while driving and commit driving errors due to this distraction. And I was kind of talking about the types of distractions we face. Phones and technology, the biggest one. Doing things like hygiene related, like let's say you're doing your makeup or looking at your face, or conversing with people, dealing with people in the car. That can be very distracting. Passengers, kids in the back seat, babies, pets and stuff. So yeah, we can easily get distracted, and no one's perfect. Like, we all get distracted sometimes when we drive. I'm guilty of that sometimes from time to time as well. But there's also visual attention impairments, and this is especially true for older adults. There's a study, but I didn't really I'm not going to go into the study, but I will link it in the description. But yeah, they talk about how visual attention impairments happen for older adults most of the time. And this is just lines up with cognitive impairments. When you get older, your brain starts to deteriorate and you have cognitive impairments. You're not really aware of the impairments. So that's why older adults feel like they can drive just as well, but they can't because they have visual attention impairments. And lastly, the other type of attention regulation capability you have to know how to do is to focus on the right things on the road at the right times. For example, you could be coming to a red light, but you're making sure the cars on the left and right are stopping or are stopped, so you're not looking at the light in front of you. Or I see this a lot when you're at a red light and you're turning. Let's say you're turning right. You're checking, is anyone coming? Now the light turns green, but you didn't even notice the light turned green, so you can actually go. People behind you will start honking at you like, why are you not going? Oh, the light's green. Oh, I wasn't even looking there. I was looking somewhere else. So knowing how to regulate your attention to what you need to at a given time, that's also attention regulation. So all that being said, I bet by now you're thinking, you're hearing this, you're like, okay, 25% theory. Yeah, I know most of the theory. Emotional regulation. Yeah, I'm pretty good for the most part. And then attention regulation. Yeah, I'm pretty good. So I just want you to kind of figure out which one of these areas you need the most work in. Again, remember, attention regulation, just not being distracted and focusing on the right thing at the right time, is the most important, in my opinion. Because if you can know how to drive, you can be in a good mood and be 100% like emotionally there. But if you're not looking, things change in the matter of a split second. So that's why I broke it down 25, 50%. We are back, and yeah, that was the Psych Saturdays of season 2. Definitely, I want to bring back this series in season 3 because, yeah, we all need some psychological information. I don't want y'all having to pay for a whole program at university just to get some psychological information in your brain. You don't have to go to some random person's YouTube that's probably saying lies about psychology stuff. I got you. So I'm so honored to have made this series a thing. Started in season 1, brought it back for season 2, and yeah, we're gonna keep going with it because a lot of people benefit from this. I love to be somebody people can come to for psychological information. And to be honest, I have to learn so much more. Like, I do the research for these episodes because I don't know everything. There's so much more information always coming out with psychology. So yeah, it's been an honor. Thank you for watching this episode. Make sure you share, make sure you like the video, make sure you comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Show your love. I appreciate y'all, and I'll see you in the next episode recap. I'm not going to surprise you. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. Just keep waiting for the next one. I want to make sure it comes out soon, right? So be prepared for a next episode very soon. We got to recap all the series so we can move on, so we can get it rolling with what's to come next. So stay tuned. But thank you for being here now, okay? This has been Vibing Out with Texony. I'm your host, Texony, a.k.a. Mr. WorldVibe. And I'm signing out. Peace.